This is a recorded webinar of inventory management training. On this opening slide, you will find our contact information. You can also find the inventory manual, which provides you with the detailed and complete information on SPO website. Moreover, the inventory FAQs and forms are also posted on SPO website. The purpose of this training class is to give an overview of requirements of the state inventory management system, some instructions in filling out SPO Form 17A, the detailed inventory of property. Why should we maintain accurate inventory records? Because state properties are purchased using public monies. So, accurate inventory records demonstrate the government's sense of responsibility and accountability to the public. It also includes on the state annual financial report that is used by auditors in annual financial audit. And accurate inventory records will result in a favorable auditor's opinion. It is important because it leads to higher bonds rating and lower interest rate when borrowing for CIP. Furthermore, the law mandates the property custodians to submit an annual inventory of property with a sworn statement. Accountability of state property. It means the responsibility for maintaining continuous records, reporting the location and conditions, ensuring proper usage, safekeeping, and maintenance of all property. Responsibility is assigned to property custodians at different levels in our organizations. To ensure proper controls, it should be assigned positions with authority or who use the property in a daily basis. This flowchart shows a sample of responsibility assignment. Here we have the department administrator might assign the division administrator, who then may have the branch section or unit head to assign its location custodians, record keeper, to manage its used properties. For internal control requirements, its property custodians shall complete the SPO Form 23 for establishing, enforcing, and maintaining written internal control procedures of state property. The next two slides will provide instructions on completing this form. On the first page, complete the organization and property custodian information. Then have the property custodians to sign it. Then the record keeper shall be assigned with providing the name, positions, and phone number. This person will be responsible for all activities listed under the record keeping of property. Under the proper use of property, provide the name, positions, and phone number for the person who will be responsible for point number 1, 3, and 4. The property custodians will be responsible for point number for safekeeping of property. Point number 2 and 3 shall be assigned to the property custodians record keeper. Point 4 for the record keeper and point 5 for the property custodians. And the rest shall be assigned to someone who will be responsible for those activities. Again, provide the responsible person's name, positions, and number for safeguard, for property, and care and maintenance of property. Reportable state property. The first one is the property regardless of cost or expected life, such as land and interest in land, weapons, works of art, historical treasures. The second one is a non-expendable property with a unit cost of $1,000 or more and useful life of more than 1 year. Includes land improvement, buildings and its improvements, vehicles, equipment, and infrastructures. The last one is control items, such as computer, photographic, video, and communication equipment with a unit cost $250 to below $1,000. They may be recorded individually or as a group, and the property custodians may also report other items that are critical to the agency's operations. You can find more information in Chapter 5 on the manual. The property shall be recorded to the system in the quarter of the fiscal year when the agency receives it, or when the agency assumes responsibility for maintaining the property. For the recording value, purchased or constructed property shall include invoice or contract price and all of its expenditures. Do not include trade-in credit. For the transfer property, the value is what was recorded by the losing agency. Or payment of a nominal amount should be based on either market value, which is the amount the property could be exchanged between two parties, or estimated market value, which may be calculated from catalogs, price quotes, recent sales of comparable items, or other reliable sources. Supplies are not required to be reported to the system, and they include items that are consumed or loses its identity in use, such as paper, pencil, or others that are used within 1 year, and items that are not consumed in use and are below the threshold, or are not considered control items, such as chair, desk, or other that are not consumed in use below reporting threshold and not considered as a control items. Agencies are required to maintain internal records of their annual supplies expenditures exceed $5,000 and all items within a unit cost of $250 to less than $1,000. The internal control shall contain information on purchases, usage, transfers, and disposals. The supplies annual physical inventory must be conducted every year, and the property custodians shall approve disposal of supplies. Next topic is the disposal applications. There are basically three major reasons on why the agency needs to prepare the disposal applications. First one is access to the agency needs. Under these reasons, the agency is required to offer the property to other state agencies, either within their department or other agency with listing the property on SBO access list. This screen shows on how to find the list on the SBO website with this login. If there is an interest agency, prepare the transfer of property form or SBO 26, which is available on the SBO website. And after completed, it shall be removed through SBO 17A, detailed inventory of property form that will be discussed later. If no interest agency, then submit the disposal applications. Second reason is obsolete or broken beyond economical repair. Then submit the disposal applications. The third reason is loss or damage. Under this loss and damage, it shall be investigated immediately and report to the local police department. Determination of the cause and implementation of controls to prevent future incidents shall be explained in details on the disposal applications, and all supporting documents, such as the police report and the internal control procedures for state property or SPO Form 23. Chapter 8 on the Inventory Manual details information on the disposal application process. To briefly review it, for regular disposal, use the method of disposal that is provided on the manual page 8-1. For items above $1,000, weapons, works of art, historical treasures, and real property, the approval of the administrator of the State Procurement Office is required. For items below 1,000, the department head or someone who is designated the department head may approve the disposal request. After approval, the physical disposal of property must be witnessed by a person with no inventory responsibilities and sign the Certificate of Disposal or SPO Form 34, which will be submitted to the departmentary person who will then forward it to the SPO. For lost, stolen, or damaged items, the approval of the administrator of the State Procurement Office is required for items above $500. The department head or someone who is designated by the department head may approve for items below $500. Damaged items require the method of physical disposal and the certificate of disposal. The record shall be removed through SPO 17A, detailed inventory of property form that will be discussed later. On this slide, we have the reporting cycle. First dates ended as of September 30th. The SPO Form 17A shall be submitted by October 15th. And second quarter updates ended December 31st. The form is due by January 15th. On February, Inventory Management Office will provide the MDB Report 33, which shall be used for conducting the required annual wall-to-wall physical inventory. Then the SPO Form 17A shall be submitted by April 15 for the third quarter updates ended as of March 31st. And the fourth quarter updates ended as of June 30th. The form is due by July 15. Around August, Inventory Management Office will provide the MDB Report 20, the annual inventory report of property. Then, the annual summary of inventory reports is required to be submitted by September 15. This flowchart shows the process of quarterly inventory. Here we find how the user needs to submit the SPO Form 17A to the divisions, which will then submit it to the department's admin or physical office. Then they will submit it to the Inventory Management Office for audits. Depends on the results. The form will be forwarded to ICSD to key punch the transactions for updating the master file, or it may be written to the agency for corrections. After the updating process is completed, the MDB Report 12 Inventory Transaction Register will be provided to the agency, which will then distribute the report to each users who submitted Form 7. Then the user needs to identify and correct any rejected transactions which are posted with error codes. This is a sample of MDB 20 Annual Inventory Report of Property. Infantryman Office will send this report around August after the fourth quarter update process. This report is sorted by the org code, location code, property code, and descriptions, and maintenance control number. If you need to assign a new maintenance control number, you can use the number in between these assigned 10 increment numbers. You will find the and location code headers title on the top part. On this sample, the asterisk shows for an item removed last fiscal year, and its disposal code and value are in remove column. Next is a sample of source documents. The value of property shall include the purchase price and all expenditures. Do not include the trade-in credit. Add the items to your inventory if it meets the reporting requirements with SPO Form 17A, and do not forget to assign file number. Next, we have a sample transfer property or Form SPO 26. This form is used for transferring property between state agencies. The losing agency needs to assign the transfer documents number. In this case, visitor gas document number, page number, and date. The losing agency also needs to complete the losing sections and column 1 to 7 with making sure to fill the name of gaining agency. Have the property custodians to sign and date, and the pickup person signs the form. Then the original and 2 copies to the gaining agency, and keep 1 copy for the losing agency suspense file. Follow up to make sure that the gaining agency completed the form before removing property from your inventory listing. For the gaining agency, complete the gaining section and column 8 to 10 and have the property custodians to sign and date. Forward the original to Inventory Management Office and 1 copy to the losing agency, and add to inventory record with SPO Form 17A. Now, we will begin the updating process through SPO Form 17A for the previous transfer sample. The form itself provides a very straightforward guideline on what needs to fill in on this form. In this slide, you will have a sample on how to fill the 17A for removing a property. X is the removal transaction code, and fill up all required information on each columns with using the most current MDB 20 report. Make sure to use the maintenance control number from your most current MDB 20 report. For these removing transactions, fill in the removal code and value on the remove column. For removal code 1 and 3, provide the approved disposal applications number. Code number 2, require the transfer documents number and attach a complete copy of that transfer document. And code number 6, require duplicate items maintenance control number. On this slide, we have a sample of disposal application, and Chapter 8 on the manual provides you with more information about this application. Remember to make sure that the certificate of disposal from 34 is completed and to Inventory Management Office. And again, when preparing the 17A for these removal transactions, make sure that items maintenance control number is based on the most current MDB 20 report. This is a sample on how the 17A looks like for removal transactions from the disposal applications on the previous slide. Again, X is the removal transaction code, and fill up all required information on each column with using the most current MDB 20 report information. Do not forget to include the disposal application number. Change transactions. This code is to change a record information such as fund, item class, and descriptions. One single transaction may change for more than one information. This sample shows on how to change the item, class, descriptions, and value increase. Use the code number 6 for changes to fund, item class, descriptions, fiscal year, and decal. Code 8 is for the value. If the value is decreased, make sure to fill in the code and value on the remove column. In this slide, we have an example to combine two TV sets into one line control group items. Use the OP code D to delete two TV sets, followed by the net transactions to combine it. For the add transactions, make sure you change the property code, assign a new maintenance control number, change the quantity, update the descriptions, input asterisks for an approximate year if needed, and total cost of two TV sets. Decal number is not required. This delete transactions also uses for correcting OR code, property, location code, maintenance control number. For this type of transaction, the add transactions must follow to correct the field. This transaction also used to delete OR code and location code headers, but no add transaction is required. After all previous transaction samples, finally is a sample of completed 17A on this slide. For any building improvements, try to indicate which building on these descriptions. And here we have a sample of MDB report 12 or transaction register. The report shows all transactions what were submitted from the 17A. In this sample, you will see the transfer out transactions shows an error code of DB017 because of wrong cost value. So you need to resubmit a 17A with the correct value. All transactions from the previous samples, such as disposal, purchase, change, and create a group items are shown on this report. Also, please note on this sample where the maintenance control number is wrong, and it caused a wrong item, in this case, bookcase, was deleted. So you need to resubmit a 17A to add the bookcase back and delete the TV with a correct maintenance control number. To briefly review it, MDB report 12 lists all transactions submitted on the 17A. Error code will appear in the last column. And the report serves as the formal transaction register for audit purposes. Please make sure to identify any error codes with comparing the submitted 17A against the printout and submit another 17A to correct the errors. What we have on this slide is the list of error codes, such as DB001 is an error code for add transactions with duplicated maintenance control number. And you can also find this list on the manual page 9-29. To summarize, you may submit the 17A anytime during the quarter. Add transactions require assignment of maintenance control number. Make sure to use the maintenance control number that identifies the items for delete, removal, and change transactions. Maintenance control number change every fiscal year. Delete is followed by an add transactions, except deleting of headers. Removal transactions require justifications in the descriptions column, such as disposal application number, transfer documents number, and the maintenance control number for duplicate items. Resubmit the original transactions for any error codes on the MDB report 12. This has concluded our inventory management training webinar, and please contact us for any questions. Please remember to fill out the following survey. Thank you very much. To summarize, you may submit the 17A anytime during the quarter. Add transactions require assignment of maintenance control number. Make sure to use the maintenance control number that identifies the items for delete, removal, and change transactions. Maintenance control number changes every fiscal year. Delete is followed by an add transactions, except deleting of headers. Removal transactions require justifications in the descriptions column, such as disposal application number, transfer documents number, and the maintenance control number for duplicate items. Resubmit the original transactions for any error codes on the MDB Report 12. This has concluded our inventory management training webinar, and please contact us for any questions.